Gowanus cleanup and impacts and potential benefits for the Red Hook community. I see we have a luminary from Red Hook sitting in the back row, and it's Charlie Davis.
Charlie Davis.
And the discussion actually focused around a number of things. The key one being that to do $500 million worth of cleanup means dredging up the contaminated sediment from over 100 years of industrial pollution, doing something with it. One of the options would be to do something with it in terms of dewatering it and prepping it for future use at a large industrial facility like the Gowanus Industrial Park, which is in Red Hook. It did come up that we know that the Chemtura, there was a chemical company there that was leaking PCBs and other things that affected the ball fields. We just heard that 2 hours ago the ball fields were shut down because of finding lead and other heavy metals. The one thing you should know is that EPA, in the bankruptcy proceeding that Chemtura, which is the chemical company, was going through, was able to wrest from it a commitment to actually do the cleanup as part of its agreement on bankruptcy, so that the site adjacent to the ball fields will be cleaned up, as well as whatever contamination potential there is across the line. We'll have to see what the current thing is with the ball fields. And I know that Nydia wants to get out there and throw out the first pitch for the championship game of the Red Hook Little League, so I wanted that to happen too. The other big thing, of course, that comes up with these questions of development is combined sewer overflow. That's always a hot topic. Hotter now because EPA found that the CSOs actually has some of the toxin content that would qualify the city as a PRP, a potential or primary responsible party. Of course, National Grid is on the hook and is cooperating. The city is not cooperating as much when it comes to CSOs, although they are spending like $200 million on the flushing tunnel and upgrades to reduce CSOs by something like 30%, from 300 million gallons per day to 200 million gallons per day. EPA does not see that as adequate remedy, and the city doesn't agree. So that's an issue now. We've been happy that EPA did come into the Gowanus Canal. We had labored for 8 years with the Army Corps and the city doing a lumbering feasibility study on the restoration of the Gowanus Canal, which, at the rate it was going, we probably have a cleanup by the time I'm in the grave. So, well, I shouldn't make any predictions about that. But
it's dangerous.
It was dependent on WRDA and the federal government and taxpayers actually paying for the cleanup, which has a huge backlog and is not really. So really what Superfund does is makes the polluter pay, and that's what's going on with this process. Apparently the city administration and some luminaries in IND didn't agree with that. They'll remain nameless, but I say that endorsement took a little more push than it should have required. I don't know if you guys got copies. I'm afraid it was really busy with redistricting. Monday, the new lines came out, so I'm happy to announce that this church is actually in the new congressional district that the Congresswoman hopes to win, the 7th congressional district. We're not so happy about losing the number 12 because we've kind of gotten used to it after 20 years. But it looks like Maloney's going to get that number, as well as Greenpoint and Northside Williamsburg. What is happening is the Congresswoman's district is extending further east to include Woodhaven and losing North Brooklyn. We also get some of the Hasidic section of the south side of Williamsburg. But we get more Park Slope, more Brooklyn Heights.
Is it some of it or is it all of it, the Hasidic section?
All of it.
Okay.
I mean, I would say all of it. I don't know where it ends, but it goes below Flushing Avenue.
Right.
So to me, that's all of it. Yeah. So that's interesting. I don't know if you just to highlight some of the things on the questionnaire. One of the questions that popped out was an example of your political independence? The answer was going after Vito Lopez. I like that one because it's a 4-word answer, but kind of clear. The other things that you know, that the Congresswoman is the ranking Democrat on the Small Business Committee. We hope after this election that she can be again chair of the Small Business Committee. And she was the first, obviously she's the first Puerto Rican elected to the U.S. House of Representatives and also to chair a full committee. And so she has a number of achievements in terms of the Small Business Committee, being the leader of that. The highlight of which was a women's procurement program that was implemented, which was something that she authored. And also small business provisions in the Recovery Act. In terms of fusion voting, she's in favor. She'll accept cross endorsements. It helps to get more progressives to show some muscle in the political process. Relative to Iran, war is never the answer. The wars of Iraq and Afghanistan, she was against them all the way through, including funding. And so obviously that's not the road to go down. Keystone Pipeline and hydrofracking wasn't in this one, but for both of those, no, because of the risks and the costs. Eminent domain, well, only for public good, but I don't think we've seen any public good come of eminent domain because it works for private developers. Free trade, no. Colombia, Panama, South Korea, not if they're not protections for the environment and for labor, which we haven't seen.
All right, Dan. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the question.
No brainer, right?
But I want to see if there's any questions. Then we